In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. This is a quote attributed to Suzuki Roshi, a Zen Buddhist master who worked and lived and died here in San Francisco. The San Francisco Zen Center exists in his legacy. And although this is a Zen Buddhist idea, the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, and in the expert's mind, there are few. This teaching came to me first through my teacher, a rabbi named B'nai Lappi, who studied Zen for almost a decade before she became a rabbi. This idea, the beginner's mind, is perhaps most studied by the Buddhists, but this really shows up everywhere you look once you start noticing it. And lately, I can't stop thinking about Passover, and so the idea of beginner's mind is, for me, showing up in the Passover story. At the Seder, we read about the 4 children: the wise one, the wicked one, the simple one, and the one who doesn't know how to ask. In my father's family, there were 4 boys, and I remember the stories they told me about how at their Seders they would always argue about which one was which. Who was the wicked? Who was the simple? Who was the wise? Who was the one who didn't know how to ask? Makes for some funny family conversations, but truthfully, I think that it's more plausible to think of us as containing a little bit of each one of the 4 children. I think we can hold a little bit of those archetypes, each of those 4 within us. Who we are in any given moment can shift and does shift. We know this. And so when we look at the wise, the wicked, the simple, and the one who doesn't know how to ask, it's not a question of who am I this year, but how am I wise, how am I wicked, how am I simple, and how might I not know how to ask? I want to focus for a moment on the simple child, which in Hebrew is known as the Tam. But Tam doesn't just mean simple, it also has a connotation of whole or complete. As in tam v'mushlam, a Hebrew expression that means perfect, good, wonderful. But tam here is translated as simple. But if there's anything that feels elusive in the world right now, it's simplicity, wholeness. And so beginner's mind would ask, what would it take to return to that kind of openness that comes with simplicity? What is keeping us from doing so? The Haggadah teaches, tam mahu omer, mazot, which translates to the simple child asks, what is this? The simple child lives in the same world as everyone else in the Seder. They know the same stories, but they ask about them differently. They don't ask what is the deeper meaning or what is the cleverest interpretation, just what is this? Mazot. This is beginner's mind, asking without needing to answer. Asking in order to be still, to be curious, and to be open. We see something similar to this in the Torah portion of the week, Parshat Tzav. The Torah portion opens where the priests are commanded to keep the fire on the altar burning all night, Eish Tamid. That fire is the origin of the Ner Tamid, the eternal flame that hangs above this ark and above arks everywhere. I believe this teaches us that offerings on the altar might come and go. In fact, the altar itself might come and go. The details change, the offerings change, but the fire, we learn, that light stays. The Eish Tamid represents the open flame of inquiry. It's a presence that invites us back again and again and again. My in-laws have a Seder tradition. Unclear if it was born out of intention or circumstance, but the tradition is that everyone brings a different Haggadah to the table. There's not just one uniform Haggadah, but everyone at the table is holding a different Haggadah. This says that there's no definitive version of the Haggadah. It's just a bunch of voices all in dialogue with one another over time and space. We're hosting a Seder tomorrow night, and although we won't be with my in-laws, we asked our guests to bring a Haggadah of their own, and one of our friends, confused by this, said, but it's not going to match. It's not going to match the ones that you're using. And I explained the tradition, and she replied, and I'm just going to read her text because I thought it was amazing, this is extremely Jewish. let's not just read this book, let's all read different versions of it and spend 80% of the night dissecting and analyzing the differences. Exactly. To embody the beginner's mind, like the Tam, the simple child, is not to know less, but to hold our questions with simplicity, with wholeness, with completion. Just as the eternal fire must be tended, our capacity to ask, what is this, mazot, must be something that we tend and come back to, if not each year at the Seder, each day of our lives. Our Jewish tradition doesn't fear multiplicity, doesn't fear contradiction. It welcomes diverse voices, it welcomes diverse Haggadot, varied voices, varied opinions, honest ones, all of them. So this Passover, this Shabbat, this year, our spiritual path might not be about having the smartest answer, the most clever one, but about keeping the light of the question, mazot, what is this? Keeping that question alive, asking it in all of its purity and simplicity, and staying awake to the sacred wonder that might emerge if we choose to ask it.